I've hired over 500 chatters and fired even more, and most of you are still doing it wrong. And so if you want to build a team that prints cash 24/7, without you having to babysit the chatters, without you having to babysit every model's account, then this video will quite literally change your entire business. And so right now, if you're stuck doing the hiring, the training, the motivating, the firing, and you're still watching your chatting results flatline, or you're not happy with the ratios that you're pulling, and you're seeing other people pull crazy ratios, I'm going to break down exactly how they do that. I'm going to break down the exact systems that we use to attract those top tier chatters that can pull the crazy ratios, filter out the shitty chatters, and turn our team into just a money printing sales machine without them burning out and without having to chase talent all the time and constantly having to recruit. And so this is a video 40 minutes long of a private mastermind I did covering everything you could ever want to know about running chatting teams, scaling chatting teams, incentivizing chatting teams. So this will quite literally be the most valuable video you've watched. And yeah, get your notepad and pen out and take notes. This could quite literally change your business, so fucking pay attention. You know, let's go. Let's cut straight to the video. I'll see you at the top. From the entire process of like hiring chatters to onboarding chatters to training chatters, the first thing that you're going to want to do is hiring rounds. Okay. I've talked about this a couple times. I do this for pretty much every role, depending. Like if it's an executive role, it's a bit more difficult to do this, but like for any role, it's like chatters, VAs, relationship managers, editors, posters, like any roles that are not like super senior, it's always effective to do group hiring. So wherever platforms that you're currently hiring on, like obviously you're running ads right now, you can continue to run ads. You can go to Telegram, you can go to YouTube, you can go to you can go to Telegram, you can go to Reddit, you can go to Facebook groups, Upwork, jobs.ph. There's obviously a bunch of different ways you can hire, right? What I would do is develop a form, like a recruiting form. That on that form is going to be like a questionnaire, right? So on that questionnaire, you're going to have like chat-in sort of application questions. So some super simple stuff on the form, right? Like, what's your first name and last name? What's your email address? What's your telephone number? What country are you from? What's your age? Rate your level of experience, right? 0 being newbie, 10 being chat-in veteran. Rate your level of discipline. Then what's your best trait? That's like these types of questions I get to add. Like, what's your worst trait, right? What's your biggest why to being successful? What are your long-term goals? Have you played sports competitively is a good question that we tend to ask, because the way we incentivize our chatters is very much like if they've played sports, great, like that's really good. They'll probably do well in our team, right? Do you go to the gym? What do you currently do for a living? Do you have any other commitments outside of your current job? And if so, what are they? How many days a week would you like to work? What is your past chat experience? Why are you applying? And then lastly, why should we hire you? And sometimes we'll ask them to send a video as well explaining why we should hire them. So super simple application-based questions on a form. And you want to push that form out, that application out to as many places as possible, to as many people as possible. So you want to get as many chatters signed up as possible, dependent on the number of chatters you plan on hiring. So if you want to hire one chatter, then ideally you're going to need at least 10 people to have filled out that form. If you want to hire 2, 20, so on and so forth, right? And as you go up, you can do less. Like if you want to hire 10, you might not necessarily have to do 100. But the more the merrier, because you want to be selecting the best talent, right? So once you've got tons of people, let's just say you push that form, you push the ads, you push the organic stuff, you get referrals, you ask friends, you ask current chatters, you just get like your only goal is once you've built this application question form, you just push that to as many people as possible for 1 to 2 weeks, right? You could do it less, you could do it for 2 days, 3 days, it makes no difference, but you just want to push it and get as many signups as possible. Once you've got as many signups as possible, that's when you are going to invite all of those people to a group Zoom call. So all the emails that they use to fill in the application form, you're obviously going to reach out, you're going to tell them all that, look, we're going to be doing a group Zoom call on this date at this time. Make sure you're there. If you don't show up, then you're not going to get the role. Then let's just say 100 people fill the form out. Let's say 70 people show up on the first day. Great. This is if you're going to hire like a lot of chatters, right? But ideally, the reason why we want to do group hiring, the reason we want to hire so many people, the reason we want to get so many people in the call is based on the fact that if we want to find those unicorns, usually we are a 1 in 10 chance. So for every 10 people that we hire, one of them is usually like that unicorn. So rather than wasting our time hiring one by one and training one by one to go maybe go through 10 people that are like not that good or mediocre to find the one unicorn, just hire in rounds. And that way you're going to be able to find the outliers, that you're going to be able to find the people that perform. So boom, first call, you got all the people on the call that filled out the form. Those that didn't show up, get rid of them. They're not going to be candidates. And you want to make sure that they show up every day. So you set a schedule, you set like a plan, and you only have to do this once because then you can use the recordings. But once you've done this once, like you're pretty golden. So 30 people on the call, let's just say, then all you're going to be doing is you need an agenda. You need an agenda for the next 12 days or the next 10 days, wherever you want to do. So personally, when we used to do this all the time and hiring rounds and we didn't have the recordings, we would go and hire, let's just say, we would go get 50 applications, 30 of them would show up on the call, and then we would have an agenda. So, for example, on that first Monday, we would go over like a bit about the company, a bit about the background of the company, why they're here, and sort of set in the framework for what is going to go on over the next 12 days because we would do 6 days and 1 day off and then 6 days and 1 day off. So we would ask everyone that applied to work with us, if you want this opportunity, you need to be able to commit for the next 12 days. So Sunday, you're going to have a day off, but you need to be able to commit at least an hour a day, 6 days in a row, Monday to Saturday, Sunday off, back Monday until Saturday. And then on Sunday, we're going to pick which ones of you we actually want to bring onto the team and hire. So first call, again, setting the agenda, a bit about your company, a bit about what you do, a bit about your mission, why they should work, why they should want to work with you. You're selling them on the opportunity. That's all you're doing, right? You're selling them on the opportunity of working with you. And you need to be polarizing. You need to be completely real because then the next day, you're gonna weed out the people that don't want to be there and you're going to weed out the people that are there for money. You're going to weed out all the people that shouldn't be there. And so like if they don't show up one day, like you just get rid of them. Like if anyone misses a single day, doesn't matter what the excuse is, you just get rid of them. Like that's just our personal rule. And so, by the end of the 2 week period, you maybe have like out of the 30 people, you maybe have like 20, maybe 15 that are still there, that have gone through the training. And that's all you're doing, right? Is you're taking them through the training. So there's going to be stuff that you're going to have to do after the calls, like if you want to do mock chats. But the point of that call is to take them through the training. So like I said, day one, selling them on the opportunity. Day two could be explaining to them like the clients that you work with, the chatting style that you operate on. And all you want to do is, like I said, you're building out a training. So rather than you going and building out like a training program and a course and blah, 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 you can just do it live this one time because then you've just leveraged your time. So build out everything you want to teach them, right? Live conversation examples. You can chat live or you can watch one of your chatters chat live on the call and show them what good chatting looks like, okay? And get them to ask questions and so on and so forth. And then by week two, like once they've gone through like the basics, they got the knowledge, they got the foundations, they understand the psychology of chatting, they understand your chatting strategies. Then week two is going to be about like, okay, let's implement these skills, right? So, okay, we're going to do mock chats on WhatsApp where you're going to speak to one of our like chatting managers or chatting trainers, and we're going to simulate a conversation. And then as you go in, he's going to tell you what's wrong or right, right? So all we do is boom, we're simulating on WhatsApp. And then if the conversation like on WhatsApp isn't going like too well, we don't stop the conversation, but we'll write like asterisk note, don't do this thing, asterisk send. And then he'll like it's like iterative in the moment. Like he's typing, you're having a conversation. It's obviously like a fake simulation. Like you're acting like the model, he's acting like the chatter. And you're mainly just looking at like, okay, is their English good? Are they leading the conversation? Because most of the simps are not that good at conversating, right? And then you're looking for the best ones. Once you've done that, we like to then train them on our C team. So like we'll put them on our C team on like trial shifts. And then we will pick the best one. So if we're looking for two chatters, there might be 10 people going through training and we'll pick the best two and we'll get rid of the rest, but we'll tell the rest like, look, this is the good thing as well. It's like, okay, you've been through the training now, you understand how everything works. If we need chatters in the future, like you'll be the first people we reach out to. But right now we're only looking for the top two. And that way you can find the best sales talent, the best chatting talent. And that's just personally like what I like to do. Now, things to consider, like before you do hiring like that, is going to be, okay, you're going to need an idea of what you're going to be teaching them. So you're going to need like a sort of framework of the training built out. Like I mentioned, live chatting examples, so on and so forth, psychology, etc. And you're also going to need the compensation structure, right? Which is the most important thing that everyone seems to miss. I bang on about this pretty much every week. I talk about compensation structure because I really want to drill into your guys' heads how like important this is. And this is all I do with my time right now is build compensation structures because of like how leveraged it is and how much of a difference it makes in your business. Like building a compensation structure is the best thing that you can ever do. And like if you build a good compensation structure, whoever that role is, like they'll just perform at 2, 3, 5x their capacity without the compensation structure. Um, and you want it to be a tiered compensation structure so they have stuff that they can actually reach towards, right? Because if you bring on a chatter and you're like, okay, cool, you're gonna get paid $3 an hour and 3%. Okay, good. That's good. That's fine. They might be happy with that, but after 3 months, 6 months, they're gonna start to just get bored. And if they're not feeling like they're progressing, then it just becomes stale and they stop performing. And then you've got to repeat the process again, and then you've got to get rid of them and you've got to hire people. And so, like, personally, a really good compensation structure will save you from having to like it'll help you retain talent. But not only will it help you retain talent, but it'll help you like put rocket fuel on the talent. Like they'll just perform way, way, way better. Um, and so like the core concept of like when you build a compensation structure and when you start to gamify aspects of your chatting environment, it's like it's turning work into play, right? People don't want to work. Like at the end of the day, like people don't necessarily want to work. And if they do, like if you can make it fun, they're just gonna perform better. If you treat it like a game, like they're just gonna perform better. They're gonna want to show up. And so it's like you need to consider like, okay, how do you build a compensation structure? And so it's like to do that, you need to understand like the why, right? Like the why, like the why does someone want to chat? Like why does someone want to speak to simps all day? And then you can sort of look at like, okay, but what do they want to be making? Like if you speak to enough chatters, like what do they want? We've spoken to enough chatters, pretty much all they really want is time off and stability of the account. Like that, those are the two main things that we've found with like all the chatters we've hired. Like the main thing they want is okay, yeah, they want a decent like live in, but like the main two things is like stability of the account and time off. And so if you can provide that and then also gamify it, like you're gonna like see a massive increase in your chats. Like you could 2x your chat in just by building a good compensation structure for your chatters. Like I really, really mean it. You might 5x your chat in depending on how good the compensation structure is and how good you gamify it, right? And so it's like, okay, a chatter wants to be making, let's just say, minimum like 2 grand a month, right? Cool. They also want time off. They also want stability on the account, or they want the best accounts. Okay, great. We know these, we know the why, we know the why behind it, like why they're actually doing it and what they want. And then it's like, okay, well, how do we make sure they get that? Well, that's when you're going to need to start to look at like, well, let's build a structure around that. So, like for example, what we like to do is our A team clients, like our best clients that have the biggest opportunity for the chats to make the most money, we actually often, not too often, but like we often have turnarounds with chatters to where like we offer the best accounts up for the highest performers. So, like for example, if someone's like performing extremely well, like let's just say they're on like the lower tier of A team and they performing like extremely well, then they're actually going to get an opportunity at the better accounts that bring in more money so they can make more money. So like that way we're rewarding the best chatters with the best accounts. And then the best chatters stay on the best accounts, the worst chatters stay on the worst accounts. And so like that's stuff that we like to do. And it's also like why the C, B, and A team structure works so well, not only with models, but also with chatters, because they can also work their way up. And we can also train our chatters on the C team, and they can work their way up to the B team, and they can work their way up to the A team by performance and hitting KPIs and hitting metrics and exceeding them, right? So that's sort of the stuff you want to look at. And then you want to start to actually build out the compensation structure based on the revenue stage of the models or your agency. So, like, for example, when your agency, this is what I mean by tiered compensation structure, when your agency is at like 0 to 30K a month, the compensation is going to be different. Like it's obviously going to be different than like let's just say when you're doing over 500 grand a month. Like it's going to look completely different because when you're at 500K a month, you can technically do like a less. Like for example, like we have a lot of chatters that are on $1.50 an hour and 4%.
And there's a lot of people that ask me like, how the fuck can you do that? And like, how do they perform? It's just because like they're on better accounts because we make a lot more money. And so like you can't necessarily do $1.50 an hour and 4% when you're at like 0 to 30K a month because they're not going to make enough money for them to be worth it. But if they're chatting on like 100K, 400K accounts, they obviously that 4% and that $1.50 is obviously a lot bigger. And so like you want to build it based on the revenue stages. So that could be like when your agency is between 0 to 30K a month, this is what we're going to pay our chatters. This is what we're going to incentivize them, because this is what we can like afford to do and it's worth it for them. Then when we're between 30 to 50K a month, this is what we're going to pay. When we're between 50 to 100K a month, this is what we're going to pay. When we're over 100K a month, this is what we're going to pay. And you just do it at different stages. And then you have the additional incentives on top of the regular stuff, right? So between those revenue stages, 0 to 30K, 30 to 50K, 50 to 100K, 100K plus, wherever you want to do, there's going to be like slightly different commission. So, like, for example, you'd obviously going to be given a higher commission when you're between 0 to 30K versus 100K plus. But also, you might add like a base salary in at 100K plus a month, but you might not necessarily do a base salary at the 0 to 30K a month revenue stage. Because if you're at 0 to 30K a month, you don't want to really have any set costs. So it's just going to be better to do a higher commission at that stage. But obviously, you show them this because you can't just like the people get stuck, right? So like I see a lot of people where they start and they're like, oh yeah, we pay our chat as 8%. And I'm like, okay, great. Based on where you're at, okay, that's fine. But just consider like when you scale, like you're not going to be able to keep that up. And then they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, if you keep paying them 8% when you haven't considered what's going to happen when you're making 500 grand a month, all of a sudden now you're giving out a lot of money. And they're like, oh, okay, fuck, I didn't think of that. Which is why from day one, you need a tiered compensation structure because then the chatter knows, okay, when we're bringing in 30 to 50K a month, my commission's going to drop and I'm going to get a base salary. And so I can actually still make more. And I'm also going to get this, this, and this bonus. When we're making 100K a month and I'm on this account, like I'm going to be making this and this. So they know from like day one that this is what the roadmap looks like. Because if you just say, oh yeah, you're on 8%, it's like, okay, then when you're doing 200K a month, you can't just necessarily be like, oh yeah, by the way, you're not on 8% anymore. Like they're just gonna like leave or it's just gonna cause issues, right? You can also do stuff like retention bonuses as well. These are little things that we like to do, retention bonuses. So for example, you'd give them a bonus for, let's just say $1 million in PPVs sold. You would give them like a 5K bonus or something, right? Like, okay, you get a 5K bonus for selling $1 million in PPVs over a 12-month period, for example. That's like a retention bonus because then if like, and that's really good for like your high performers, right? So like for your high performers, like you want additional incentives. So if you hit XYZ, like if you script 5 people a day, you get a $200 bonus or a $500 bonus. If you're a high performer, you'll get an additional like commission when you exceed a certain amount of like tips and messages. So if on average a chatter is doing like 30K in tips and messages a month, if you exceed 30, let's just say you exceed 30K, you're going to get then an extra 2% additional to that 30K. So then if they go and do like another 30K, then they're going to get an additional percentage on that last 30K. So you can look to do stuff like that. And that's like going to incentivize them from day one is to be like, okay, I know exactly what I can do. And also on top of that, they're gonna wanna hit their KPIs and they're gonna wanna like hit their targets and they're gonna actually want to work because now they know, like think of the difference of just, oh, you're on $3 an hour and 3% versus between this revenue stage, you're $3 an hour and 3%. But when we hit this, you're going to move to 5%. When we hit this, you're going to do this. Plus, there's all these additional bonuses. Plus, you're going to get base pays at this level. Plus, you're going to get this incentive. It's like, oh shit, now I know the roadmap. I want to try and hit this. They're going to want to try and max their stats, right? They're going to want to try and like hit every performance-based incentive. And so like they're going to perform a lot better and they're actually now going to treat your business like their own. Otherwise, they're just literally like a robot and they're just going to do the bare minimum they can do to make the money that they're happy with making. So that's why this shit's so important is like gamifying it and incentivizing them and building out these sorts of comp structures. And if you really want to get like if you really want to take it to like a high level, you could even go as far as like doing like if you really want to do, I'm not necessarily recommending it, but you just for you to understand, like you could necessarily do like if you got a high performing chatter that is like bringing in a lot of money for you to the point where like if you lost him, it would be shit. Like he's that good. then you can always do stuff like, oh, after 2 years of tenure and hitting X goal, like, $2 million in messages and tips made, will offer you like equity, like will offer you equity options. It could be small equity, it could be like 0.5%, it could be 1%. But like the point is then that's how you're gonna retain like the really good talent and the really good chatters. Like if they are generating that much value for your business, like firstly, you're gonna need to give them better incentives than everyone else because that's what the high performer should get. But like you can also go down that route as well. It's like, okay, well, if you stay with us for 2 years and you do XYZ, like you close over $2 million in messages and tips in those 2 years, we're going to give you equity options, for example. Um, and so that's going to be key. And so like then it just all comes down to selling the opportunity. Like that's how you're going to attract the best people, right? You got to sell the vision of your company. You got to highlight the immediate earning potential and what that could look like at the different revenue stages and how quickly they could actually reach those tiers if they put in the work. And then you just want to show that growth path because that's key. And I'd rather incentivize chatters in a way where like if they stay with us for 2 years, then they're gonna get like way better incentives, way bigger bonuses. Maybe we pay for a vacation for them. Maybe the base pay jumps, whatever it is. But I like to personally like not be greedy because you need your chatting team. And if they're incentivized, like wow, then your company's going to do insane. And if they're not incentivized, then eventually your company's just going to crash down eventually and it won't perform. So that's like really key when it comes to chatting, and those are like things to consider. And then again, it just comes down to then is like, okay, cool, like you've got the hiring, you've got the group, like the group hiring down, you've got the form built, you understand like the training that you're going to go through for the first 12 days in a group format. You're going to record all those calls so you can then use them for material, right? So the reason I like to do the live group trainings for like the first 2 weeks with like 40 different chatters to narrow it down to pick the best four is because like once we've done it once, we've now got like all this training recorded on these live calls with these chatters, going over live chat examples, like doing role play, like doing all these different things, go selling the vision of the company. And then we've now got a series of 12 videos that are all recorded live on Zoom with like 40 plus chatters. And we can now like put them in a Notion document or in a Google Drive and have that as our training. So training one, company vision, training two, chat and psychology. And like we've done it. Like we don't have to build out a course, we don't have to do any of that stuff. Like we've done it live. And now when we want to hire our next round of chatters and we run the same application form, this time we don't have to do the live calls again. This time we can just be like, boom, go and consume these assets and make sure you check in the boxes once you've consumed them. And then we'll put you through maybe a questionnaire to see if you've actually like done the training. And then we'll get you on the accounts live to do like, and then we'll do like some mock tests and so on and so forth. Like there's going to be some stuff you can't escape. Like you want to be doing stuff like mock tests and mock chats and showing live examples and giving feedback. And once they are chatting, watching them chat and giving them feedback live, iterative in the moment, like that's the key thing. Like when people are doing tasks and when people are chatting, like training them, if you're training them on like live accounts that are not necessarily the best, you want to be there with them, like on a call, giving them like feedback straight away, because that's just gonna like make them actually understand, okay, shit, I need to do this. If you like let them chat and then you're like, oh, just send me a loom of like how you chatted, they're not in the moment doing it anymore. So they're not really gonna like learn. And so it's like you need to change and shift their behavior there and then in that moment. And so like that's why I would massively suggest once you've done that and you've got that down, you've got the training down and you've done the meetings and you've hired the people and you know how to hire and where to hire, and also consider where the best chatters come from, right? It's like if you're pushing forms everywhere, like put on the form where they came from. Like, did you come from Telegram? Did you come from Reddit? Did you come from wherever? And then if you're noticing like, oh shit, all our best chatters are coming from like this one subreddit, or all our best chatters are coming from like Telegram or Facebook or wherever, then it's like, okay, let's maybe focus on there when we do our next hiring round. But you'll probably find this is a mixed bag, but it's just good to have that data in general. Once you've done that, then it just becomes how do you lead the team, right? Like based on the question you asked, it's like, then how do you lead the team? So it's like, the first thing that comes down to is you knowing how to lead a team and you knowing how to do stuff and run like daily meetings, for example. Like that's a big part of it, right? Like if you want to like learn the ropes before you hire chatting managers to do it, I'd recommend like doing the daily meetings yourself, like taking 30 minutes out of your day, and taking daily meetings with the chatters and just like going over any issues they're facing, any problems, doing live chat reviews, like doing like objection handles and stuff like that, like where you can actually like do it every single day and just get those reps in. Whether you want to do it Monday to Friday, whether you want to do it Monday to Saturday, might want to do it Monday to Monday, right? Um, Daily meetings, like the cadence and consistency are really key. So like if you hire a bunch of good, like when you actually make, and the daily meetings, by the way, is like for the chatters you've hired, right? So if you pick 4 chatters out of the 40 that were in the training period, like those 4 chatters, now you need to pour into them to make them as good as you possibly can. Which is why you need to understand the chatting yourself, right? Like you need to have chatted to be able to do this. Like if you haven't chatted, then you're not really going to be able to give much feedback. And so it becomes more difficult, which is why I would recommend like understanding it, getting in there, going through the chat section on the program and so on and so forth, right? And once you know that and you know how to chat, you know the cadence, you know the flow, you know the psychology, you know to maximize the chat environment based on your strategies, that's when you can then teach it, right? So do it yourself, teach it, and then manage it. And so all you're doing with those daily meetings is like, firstly, the cadence and consistency is key, right? So you need regular, short, impactful meetings that keep the chat and team aligned without creating like fatigue. And so each meeting that you do needs to have a super clear purpose. So whether it's reviewing performance, whether it's training on specific skills, whether it's just motivating the team, each day's meeting should build on the previous ones, which is just going to create momentum throughout the week, right? So Mondays is the perfect days to set goals, set targets, and then every single day, how close are we to the target? How close are we to the goal? And then Friday review, did we hit it? Did we not hit it? And then based on if we hit it or not hit it, either reward if you hit it or dumb reward it and drill on what you missed. So like if you was,
Bill, sorry to jump in mid-flow. You got a handful of people trying to get in the chat, buddy.
no stress, no stress. Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro. Yeah, so like if for example if you're like in the meetings every day, and let's just say like they don't you set a target on a Monday and then Friday you don't hit it. Friday you need to like drill on what you didn't hit. So like was it the fact that like you had a bunch of people coming in and they just wasn't engaging that well, and therefore on how do you train on like engaging people? There's a bunch of stuff that you obviously need to consider, right? So that's like how you want to run those daily meetings. And that way, like you're gonna get iteration like live every single day. And your chatting team is just gonna be able to go from like not having a clue what they're doing to like being extremely competent to the point to where once you get one like really good chatter, that's when you can then ask that chatter, like he's gonna eventually it's gonna get to a point where there'd be a chatter that's better than you and knows more than you. That's when you want that main chatter to like start to build out like assets and documents about what he's doing that you can then share with the rest of the team, right? And that applies with everything in your business, whether that's appointment setters, whether that's closers. Once you got like a killer that is like absolutely crushing it, you need to go to that person and ask them to build a fucking war chest of like everything they're doing. Like ask them the questions, like how do they chat? Like how do they do this? How do they maximize tips? How do they do blah, 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 blah. Get them to build that out, and then you can share that with the team and be like, yo, this is what, Duke is doing every single day. Like this is what you guys need to be doing. And that way, like it's going to be even better. But the one mistake a lot of people make is when they have a really good chatter, they try and make that chatter like a chatting manager. But that's like the wrong thing to do, right? Because just because he's a good chatter doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a good manager. Completely different skills. If you're a good chatter, keep him as a good chatter. Managers, completely different types of people. Look for people with management experience. Look for people who've managed teams of people, right? And so like that's the key difference. Like that's a mistake that you don't want to make. But you just got to make sure that you're driving that healthy competition with your chatters, right? Two main important things when you're running daily meetings and building a successful chatting team: gamifying it to drive the healthy competition. So you want to make them competitive, which is why we ask questions like, did you do sports? Like that's a big plus. If they did sports and competed in sports, great. Like a lot of Filipinos have played like basketball and stuff like that. If they say that, that's great. That's good for us. Like one of our best chatters right now, like plays basketball at a high level. It's like, okay, sick. That's great. And so like he's obviously gonna perform when it comes to healthy competition and when there's leaderboards involved and weekly challenges and you're giving those people recognition on the meetings. That's like really, really key. And then again, it's just about creating that culture of accountability and wins, right? So every single meeting you do with your chatting team needs to have built-in accountability. And when people are asked about like what are your metrics, like how much, like what was your KPI? Did you hit your KPIs this week? Like at the start of the week, you said you was going to do this much in messages and tips, and you was going to have this many quality conversations, and your reply time was going to be this and this. Like, did you hit it? Did you not hit it? And then you can actually, again, if they didn't hit it, well, what can we do to make sure you hit it? What can we do to improve that? Like, what are you lacking? If they did hit it, great. Maybe incentivize them in front of the team. Maybe they spin a wheel where they get something like AirPods or a fat or like a dinner voucher or a day off or wherever it is that you want to do, right? By doing stuff like that, it's going to reinforce positive behaviors. And then when you don't necessarily have positive outcomes, it's going to reinforce like, okay, if I don't get the outcome I want, I need to drill it and train it so I can actually get it for next time. And so like that's the main thing. Like if you want to build a really good chatting team, it's not necessarily about like the technical side of like, oh, it's this specific chatting strategy or this specific script. It's more like how you build the culture around the chatting team. Like that is the most important thing. And again, that's going to come down to everything we've talked about, right? How you hire, who you hire, how you build your compensation structure, and then how you actually run and lead that team. And so like I love to do daily stand-ups with the chatting team. I don't personally do it obviously anymore, but like daily stand-ups with the chatting team, 20 to 45 minutes, super focused, super tactical, super specific. And I also like to do like weekly meetings that are maybe a bit bigger, like 60-minute meetings where we focused on more like team development. And then I also love like big monthly meetings, like 60 to 90-minute monthly meetings, where we sort of talk about like big picture progress. We do some recognition for the month. We do challenges. We look at the goals, and we reward like those winners in a big way. But the main thing to having a successful chatting team is going to be those like daily stand-up meetings, like those 20 to 45-minute meetings where it's just alignment, accountability, and quick wins, and just boom, boom, boom every single day. And just drill in those. Like if you implement that in your chatting team, like you'll be golden. Like you'll be really golden. And there's obviously like a bunch of different things that you can do then. Like it's just coming up with like the games that you can play with your chatting team. Like
I have a question.
yes, yes, yes.
When you say you do like a chatting meeting with all the chatters, obviously they have different shifts. So at what time of the day are you doing that?
Yeah, so like our chatting managers, so like we have pods. So like our chatting managers will do meetings with their pods. So there'll be like meetings going on at different time, depending on their pod. So like that is going to be the key. So like for example, you would do like
Gotcha.
if you have a chatting manager that manages, let's just say a pod of 4 chatters, well, they'll do the meeting at wherever time, like an in-between time in their shift or wherever.
Yeah, so we only have like one team, so that wouldn't like make much sense to us. We
Yeah,
have
yeah.
one every day because then it's gonna be like one-on-one meetings, I guess.
Say again.
It's gonna be one-on-one meetings because we have 3 shifts and
Okay.
there's one chatter on every shift.
Okay. I mean, honestly, like it'd probably be worth like trying to at least find like a time where you don't chat for 20 minutes and just do a 20-minute meeting with everyone, like and get everyone on, like because that's when like wherever the deadest time is, just try and potentially get them to show up then. Because I mean, like at least it's only going to be 20 minutes, at least like you know, they actually the value that you're going to get from like that 20-minute meeting versus like chatting for 20 minutes at that time is like incomparable.
Okay,
So I would think of it more like that.
gotcha. Thank you.
That's yeah, no worries, no worries, no worries. But as you start to scale, like each chat manager will do meetings with their pod, and that's going to be key. But yeah, no, if you're doing 24/7 chatting, like literally just find 20 minutes in the day for all the chats to join to where, non-negotiable meeting. You have this is a part of your like competencies, like this is a part of your roles and responsibilities. Like you've got to show up for this meeting on this day. And we're not necessarily chatting at that time. And it's just boom, quick 20 minutes and then set up for the shift, ready to go.
So
That's
you mentioned there about a chat manager looking after four, for example, 4 chatters.
Mhm.
Is that how I thought it would be? Would it be nine chatters to one manager? Is about right?
You could do 9, you could do 12. It depends what you want to do. Like, it depends how you structure it, right? Like, it's because this is what I'm saying. Like, there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer to this. Like, it's very non-binary. It's more just like how you run your team. So, like, for us, for example, we used to have like when we started and we was doing like 500 grand a month, we used to have a structure where we had 3 chatters and they would do 8-hour shifts, and we would do that one chatting team would do like, let's just say, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and then we'd have weekend staff that would do the weekend shifts. We don't do that anymore because it's like quite inefficient. So like what we prefer to do is like a chatting team for us is like 4 people, and we do 2 on, 2 off. So like for example, they work 3 to 4 days a week and they have 3 to 4 days off, right? Because like I said, everyone wants stability on the accounts and everyone wants time off. And so we now prefer to do bigger, like 12-hour shifts because they have a day off the next day. So it's not that like intense. So like, for example, right, we've got 4 chatters on one team. Then chatter 1 and chatter 2 are going to chat Monday. So like chatter 1 on Monday will do the first 12 hours. Chatter 2 will do the second 12 hours. And then Tuesday, they're off. They got a day off. And that's when our other 2 chatters will come in on Tuesday, 12 hours, chatter 3 and 4. And then the next day they're off. And then the Monday chatters come back in and we just rotate like that. That's what we do. That's what we found to be like the most efficient, because then it's like, okay, boom, 4 people, they can do 12-hour shifts, 1 on, 1 off, day on, day off. They got plenty of time off. That's like the perfect sort of recipe that you can do. That works really well. But if you want to do 8-hour shifts, like 3 chatters, 8-hour shift, if that works for you, don't change what's not working, right? Like completely down to you, but that's just what we found to be best for us.
Cool. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no worries at all. No worries at all. But yeah, that's like pretty much all you need to do. And then coming up with games as well, like, is a big one, right? Like we love to do stuff like mystery boxes. Leaderboards is a really big one. Like if you can build leaderboards on like Google Sheets, for example, like we're at the end of the day and they fill out the reports, like every single day. They fill out what they did, like how much they made, what they did, like how many blah, 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 like wherever the reports are. Then there's leaderboards based on specific metrics that you personally want to hit for your agency. Like if you want to focus on the number of scripts sold, or if you want to focus on the number of PPVs sold or the number of tips, like wherever you optimize for, that's what the leaderboard should be based on. And then the chatters fill out their end of day reports every day on what they did. And then you just have a leaderboard on Google Sheets, for example. And then every single day or every single week or every single month, all the chatters can always see where they're at. So they want to perform better, but there's specific prizes for those top people on the leaderboards, right? Whether that's like weekly mystery boxes where the chatter that sells like the most PPVs gets to open a mystery box of like $100 value or wherever. Stuff like that is like really, really good to do. And also like bingo boards, like we love to do bingo boards. Like that's a really good one for milestone goals for chatters. So like you would like this, you could do it like online. You would fill like a bingo card with a mix of like easy and challenging tasks. So for example, like get X amount of tips, sell X amount of PPV, script whatever amount of people, make this amount of revenue in messages, and then like the chatter has to update their progress as they complete their tasks, aiming to complete like an entire line on the bingo card. And then you offer like a small prize for every single line completed. And then if they complete the full bingo card over a week or over a month, wherever you want to do, you give them like a larger reward. Like little stuff like that, like it might sound crazy, but it just makes such a fucking difference. Like actually insane. Like it's so crazy. And even doing like it's just literally running like a sales team. Like that's all you're doing. Like they are a fucking sales team. So like everyone treats their chat as like VAs and like just Filipino VAs, and they just expect them to like, they give them training for 2 weeks and then they let them go on their own, and maybe they do the odd review here and there or tell them this and that, but they don't run it like a sales team. They just kind of like leave them be there. And it's like, if that's what you're doing right now, go and implement the stuff I'm talking about and you'll see a drastic difference. And even stuff like most improved awards and like all this sort of stuff. Like this is the type of things you want to be thinking about. Spin the wheels, still one of the best ones for us. Love doing spin the wheels. Like so much fun, especially if you're doing like, if the chatting manager is like doing a meeting with a pod, like at the end of the week, like doing a spin wheel for like those that hit like if they set their targets at the start of the week, like I want to sell 50 PPVs this week. And then at the end of the week, they hit it. It's like, boom, everyone that hits the specific target, you get to spin the wheel in front of everyone on Zoom, and on the wheel is a bunch of different prizes, and it just really hypes the team up. And it's really good. And they're just never going to want to leave because they feel like they're a part of something. And so just little rewards, $20 gift cards, $10 gift cards, a dinner, like a day off, like wherever you want to do. Those are like really little things to implement that will make like a massive, massive difference. And even like yeah, that's there's a lot. There's a lot. I could talk about this forever, but let me answer some of these other questions.
Get another question into regarding this, if that's
Yes.
okay. How do you compensate your chatting managers? Is it a fixed fee? Is it with percentage? How do you do
Yeah,
it?
so again, compensation structure you want to build out, but we mainly do $3 to $4 an hour for a chat manager. And then we base the compensation structure based on their team's performance. So based on their pod that they are like in charge of,
Yeah.
their pod is like hitting all their targets all the time, that chatting manager will also get bonuses just like we incentivize the chatters. So like if your team is hitting their targets all the time, you're also going to get XYZ thing, like wherever is a $50 bonus, a day off, like
So it's
wherever.
also like gamification.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Exactly the same thing. Like people need games. Like if you want people to perform, like people need games. And that's what like any role in your organization, like people need games. Like they will perform 10 times better if you put a game in front of them and it doesn't feel like work. Especially chatting, bro. Like it's so boring. Like just think like you have to sit there and speak to weirdos all day for 12 hours a day. Like it's a lot. Like if you're not incentivizing them, like how long do you really think they're going to be able to perform at like that peak level? Like probably
Yeah.
2 weeks. Like it's like they're just not gonna. They might never hit that peak level because you're not incentivizing them in the first place, right? So that's gonna be the key things there when it comes to chatting, and that stuff is more important than anything else you can do. Like it's more important than any specific scripts or any type of chatting strategies or the way you set up your welcome message. Like that is the stuff that will make the biggest difference. Like, and I've got the data to back that up. Like before we'd implemented that, like it was insane the difference that stuff made, like absolutely insane. And if you want the specifics, like, oh well, what type of like script should we be running? I don't know if you guys have like seen this. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let me pull this up. I'll drop it in the chat. But this is fire as well. This is really sick. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? This is really solid stuff. Okay, just drop this in the chat. I would 100% watch this as well. Like if you're on the tactical, like what scripts to use, how to create scripts, how to implement them on Inflow, like how to utilize them, like all that sort of like tactical level stuff. I would watch that video and look at that SOP is pretty solid. Like it's really like it's yeah. If you watch that, implement that and you just said it's
Maybe a quick question, Dylan. I wrote you regarding the banking, and I saw that you will drop me a voice note, right?
yeah.
Perfect. And a quick question regarding this banking stuff, regarding the chatting. I don't know how you all guys, and specifically you, Dylan, pay your chatters. I mean, which banking like. Do you use a specific bank or do you use specific apps?
Yeah,
How do you
we
pay
use Wise.
chatters?
We use Wise to pay our chatters. We have a specific Wise account just for paying chatters. And like
Okay, you use twice.
yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Um,
Thank you.
it's just the most efficient. Some chatters, like we've got a couple of chatters that we pay crypto to. But if you just keep it simple, just use Wise. Like it's definitely the best for paying like overseas staff.
Okay, and it's totally fine, and you get no problems when you pay a lot of money.
Nah, we don't have any particular problems with Wise. Like we've had like problems if we accept like OnlyFans money on Wise. But like paying staff, like overseas staff, like in the Philippines, stuff like that, like we've never had issues with Wise.
Mm.